I just talked to myself for about half an hour without streaming. We're going to get this show rolling tonight, and if this is actually working, I want to hear somebody yelling in the live chat that they can actually hear me. Folks, we've got a new TicTac video coming out that I want to show you guys, and what's all this spiritualism happening right now? Why is this happening? We're going to go over that. We're going to understand the truth behind it. We're going to go over a new documentary coming out called Age of Disclosure. Jake Barber, Jordan Jazak, Tom DeLong, Jason Georgianski. Excuse me. We got a lot to talk about tonight because a lot has happened this last week that's pushing this narrative forward, and we're going to explain it in a second. Stand by.
The system is totally rigged and broken.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
Demonstrators will declare themselves to be inhabitants of 5 distant planets in the galaxies that are coming to warn the inhabitants of planet Earth of the impending destruction of the planet.
It is now 89 seconds to midnight. This is the closest the world has ever been.
I still think these are what people call angels. I'm dying to know what they've got to say.
Pretty severe suffering brings them.
These entities have the ability to appear in any form.
Another strange night, a strange normal. This is a strange night because I've had so much trouble. My name is Bradley. We talk about the stranger things that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what is going on. And there's a lot going on. Hit that like button, by the way. Hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon so you're notified when we actually do go live. If we actually get going live, because tonight has been a struggle. But, let's get into it. There's one big thing that you guys are here for, and that's the UAP video that that we've found that's new, and it's going to be pushing out there in the news very soon, this next week. But before we get into that, just a couple housekeeping things. Look, we're about to rebrand this channel a little bit. The Strange Normal Podcast, this one, is going to stay the same, and it's going to stay on Sunday nights, usually Sunday nights. But I want to talk about things that are more broader than just last day spiritualism. We've got things like country living, natural disasters that are coming along. I mean, all this stuff that's happening in the news about jobs and the economy and all this stuff and how it relates to Bible prophecy. There's actually a lot to say about this, and I was contemplating this week, thinking about, I want to do the show on this, and this topic at the same time. So we're going to be pushing out more content, hopefully more produced content for you, as well as this live stream. And this might change a little bit, but Strange Normal is here to stay. So I'm going to reemphasize that in a couple shows before we actually do it so people know what's going on. But that's a little bit of housekeeping. By the way, where do all these topics come from? Well, I have to say, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. A lot of them come from Adrian in the chat here. Thank you so much for your Facebook posts. They're very interesting. He gets a lot. He's on Twitter. I'm not, and he finds a lot there. But the other majority comes from our Discord server, and there is just a ton happening in the Discord server. I'm going to bring it up here just so you can see that people are. It's more than just a few things that people are talking about. I mean, we've got guest interviews that people are suggesting, different general topics, hearings in government. Things that have been sent to me, show planning, propaganda on TV, social media, the religious cults, subculture, the of course some off-topic stuff, but testimonies from subscribers, things to fact check before we put them out, good point suggestions, the science, or what is the science saying now? I mean, since science is no longer factual, it's just some conversation, and they don't want to be held responsible for saying things that they believe anymore. Climate change, natural disasters, wars, rumors of wars, current prophetic events, conspiracy theories, Project 2025. This is another thing I want to talk about this week. Very interesting stuff that's happening right now in this Project 2025 and continuing. And so all these topics, I'm going to start talking about on the channel because I think that it would be interesting for you guys to talk about. If there's anything that I missed here or anything that would be of interest to you, I want to hear about it. So make sure you write me a comment. I read those comments. Just looking in the chat, making sure I'm hitting out into the airwaves tonight. Are you guys hearing me? If you are, hit that thumbs up. I want to make sure that I'm actually heard out here. Looks like we're in the triple digits already, but there's only 31 likes. What is up with that? I'm going to come back to that in a second to make sure that there's enough people hitting that like button. What else? What's next on this? Well, we got big things coming up. A couple big things coming up. So T-shirts. Who wants a free T-shirt? I know I do. Well, if you're coming to the general conference session, I'm going to show you this real quick. This is a sign up. So you can, too, get a free T-shirt. I'm going to put this in the first comment above, a little link to it so you can go to this page right here. It says, what is your first name? What is your email address? What kind of shirt size do you want? Are you male or female? Or do you want a male or female T-shirt? What color do you want? And give me some notes if you have any. Now, there is one T-shirt per entry, and you must be present at the GC to get this because I'm going to be carrying them around, and I don't want to carry around any that are no one's coming for. So make sure that you are present and you're going if that's the case and you're planning to go to the GC. I'm going to verify this with you in email that you're going to be there before I go out and print them because it's good to know that you're going to be there if I'm going to have a T-shirt for you. And so if that's something that you're into, then I'm going to put that link in the first comment under this video. Make sure you go and look at that. You might have to hit the more button at the bottom to see the full context of that full comment. And we're also getting some books out. I have been writing quite a bit lately. We're trying to do 4 books. And so lots is happening here on the channel. 4 books. The first one's going to talk about the coming deception. This is the main point of Strange Normal, and we're going to talk about this booklet. It starts a little bit interesting. We're actually going through 14 pages right now. This is a typical size, 5,000 words for a pocketbook. But I'm going to read a little bit of it so you can see what we've been working on. And I'm not going to give it all away, but this is it. A deception is coming that will shake the entire world. It will not come from a government, a world leader, or a mere human conspiracy. It will come from Satan himself in tangible form of spiritualism. And it will be so powerful that nearly the entire world will believe it. Did you know that this form of spiritualism is already being spoken of in the nightly news? Did you know that major governments are already studying this spiritualism publicly? The world is being prepared through paranormal experiences, near-death testimonies, UAP sightings, and supernatural manifestations. Governments are acknowledging the existence of unexplained aerial phenomenon. Hollywood and the media are normalizing the idea of contact with these other worlds. Scientists and atheists, once the greatest skeptics, are now open to a new supernatural belief that passes the scientific method. Something is coming. Let's study and understand how this last day spiritualism will appear from the Bible so we are not deceived by it. The Bible reveals exactly how this deception unfolds. And we're going to dig far into this stuff. I'm going to go over the 6 major points that show spiritualism in the last days. And then I'm going to show how this spiritualism that we're seeing right here in those 6 points is actually happening. We got quotes from Morneau. We got quotes from prophecy. We got quotes from a ton of Bible verses, Thessalonians, Revelation, all kinds of stuff. And it proves it. In fact, I've given this booklet already, had it proofread by a few different people that hadn't read over everything yet. And they said, wow, this is really packed with a lot of stuff, Brad. This is really good. And we're hoping to give this away for free. I mean, from now on, the goal is to get this out there. And if we have the ability to do that, then let's do it. It really depends on a lot of things. So if that's something that you enjoy, let's do it together. I just want to check and make sure that I'm still streaming out here. I'm a little bit scared of that right now since I talked for half an hour and nothing was happening. Looking at the chat, let me see. We've got some thumbs up. Good. We got 51 likes now. That's 20 more. I think that's good. See. Would love to be there. Not possible. Captures power. Oh, that's a good idea. Jennifer says she talks about 5 keys for survival. I think it would be really good to talk about this on the channel. Talk about more of last day preparations. You know, Pathfinders. You know, anybody know what Pathfinders is? It's kind of like Boy Scouts for my church, and it was originally invented to help people understand last day survival, and now it's become getting your shell honor or something. I got my shell honor when I was in Pathfinders. Silly. But anyway, if no one knows what that is, it's basically Boy Scouts. It should have been something a little more than shell honor and stuff like that. It should have been more outdoorsy. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Let's dig in, folks. So we went over the T-shirt. We went over the Discord. We went over looking at this booklet that has come. I want to dig right into the show here. I'm gonna show you something that's really interesting. The South China Media Post or something like that, newspaper, they've come out and said, did an article on Japan's growing fascination with UAP. This is fascinating because while, let me bring it back to me for a second. Joe Jordan, who was based as a director of MUFON in South Korea for a little while, used to say that the culture over there, in the East, I should say, East, it would be the East of the world, would not care about supernatural things. They were focused on career, family, and other things that were very important to them. And they said he would ask him about this stuff, and he said, no, we don't see anything because we're not looking up at that stuff. We don't care about that. That's just stuff silly. And now this is all changing. We're seeing how fast this stuff is changing on the East. In fact, so much so that China's recognizing Japan's really big into this stuff right now. So let's read this article together just for a moment, just to kind of see what they're seeing that we're not. Politicians claim sightings, museums reporting rising visitor numbers and contact events draw thousands seeking alien encounters. Why? Why is this happening right now? So I'm not going to pronounce these names or these cities. They're kind of difficult for me because I'm not used to the enunciations of them. But this guy, I'm going to call him Yasu, a 53-year-old translator and interpreter based in Tokyo, is among a growing number of Japanese captivated by UFOs. And he is convinced he has seen evidence that humanity is not alone in the universe. He recalls the moment vividly. It happened during a contact event in Nagano several years ago. These gatherings, popular among extraterrestrial enthusiasts, aim to initiate sightings or communications through meditation and group intention. Intention. What is group intention? Well, it's like willing it to be there. You can be your own God type thing. Like I can change society if I just will it enough. Group intention, get enough people together. It's not biblical. It's not true. So he said he first developed an interest in the existence of alien life shortly afterwards. We had not seen anything that we could definitely say was a UFO during the evening, but it was dark. And there was stars that were the stars as we were talking. We saw lights moving around us. And he told This Week in Asia, suddenly there was one light, a huge ball of red light, and that expanded and then instantly disappeared. What is he seeing here? Well, he's seeing UAP, which originally was UFOs back in the day, or Foo Fighters, or how many names they have. What they are angelic apparitions. That's what they're saying. How do we know that? Well, the Bible talks about this. It says that that the angels are seen as the stars of the heaven. These stars move around. They're not actually the stars. The star. I've had people come up to me and say, "Wow, it's a new revelation. The stars are actually angels." No. That's not what I said. What's going on here, though, is that they appear as stars. So what is a star? Well, it's a round speck in the sky. It could be. This is interesting that we're seeing these round objects, these round orbs, as they call them, these fiery balls of light that are appearing in the sky. Isn't that interesting? So you have all these things that are happening right now that are even the eastern side of the U.S. is seeing this stuff and going, wow, look at that up there. Interesting note that over Bethlehem, when the wise men saw the star, it was a group of angels that was up there. It wasn't a group of stars or a comet. This was an intentional thing. And so very interesting that they're seeing these round objects in the sky. And I'm going to go ahead and let you guys read the rest of the article. It's really interesting. It's on scmp.com/week-asia. It's in lifestyle and culture. And it's a really good article. The article is called Close Encounters Inside Japan's Growing Fascination with UFOs. Just proves that this thing is becoming a big deal right now, all over the world. And so much so that the government has recently released another TicTac video. You're going to want to see this. This is another one. And so this is going to be all over the news in this next coming weeks, because I found that I'm seeing this stuff first person because I'm following all the latest stuff that's happening here, and it's usually breaks the next week. Where is it? I'm looking around for it on here. Oh, my B-roll is right here. All right, let's watch this, and I'm getting some text messages. I hope everything's okay with the stream. Watch this. This is crazy.
Wouldn't surprise you, I tell you. You call it the VVSS team.
Yeah, like 22,000 feet.
That shit took off earlier. I'm sorry for the swearing there, but that's the government for you. Let me see. We've got I got people texting me. Thank you so much, Chad, if you're watching right now. He's sending me the latest information. He says a few different things. This just in. I always wanted to do that. 2 weeks after Fukushima disaster, which occurred on March 2011, UFO fleet over Fukushima, Japan, March 26, 2011. So he's showing, there's a video. I'll put it in the link under this in the first comment if you want to see it. Very interesting stuff. These things usually appear over the most dangerous or disastered areas, wars, or things that could cause a lot of disasters, like nuclear weapon areas. So lots is happening. And this is part of it. He also sent me some other things here. It says thousands of UFO sightings over Japan since the earthquake, Fukushima disaster in 2000. Yeah, so this was a big deal, and I wish I could put this on the screen, but it's not. So that's the text messages I was receiving, and a few others. Lots of people texting me right now. Okay, guys, I'm in a live show. But thanks for the articles. This is very interesting. If you're in the chat, post them in the chat so everyone else watching can also see them, because that's I want to be able to show these guys them. All right, so let's bring up that was the video showing the latest government UFO video that's happening. And this is kind of where I left off when we had the problem. I was going to show you the new trailer that came out. Okay, so this new trailer is for a documentary coming out called Age of Disclosure. I'm going to kind of pop in here and there to explain it, because if you haven't been watching the show for long and you want to understand what's really happening here, watch this trailer. I'll stop it and start it and kind of show you what in the world's going on. Here we're cutting over.
the American people are ready to receive the truth.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone.
Non-human intelligence exists.
UAPs are real, they're here, and they're not human.
So what's happening here? Well, this is a majority of government officials that are either former or retired, and they're coming out and saying that something's here and it's not human. How do they know this is not human? Well, they're seeing things that can zoom and it doesn't make any sense to them, and they're communicating with them. That's what hasn't come out yet, and that's what I wanted to ask Lou Elizondo live that he didn't answer, but essentially they know that these things aren't human and they're still communicating with them. How they know that, I don't want to know, because we're going to find out what happens when they do communicate with them at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around, because it's pretty telling what was said. Essentially, it brings the apocalypse, is what one of these guys says. So hang on for that. We're gonna go over that video in a second. But let's finish this this documentary trailer.
I spent 25 years as a senior official with the CIA.
I worked on highly classified UAP programs.
28 years as an astrophysicist.
I served as the 4th Director of National Intelligence.
Director of Aviation Security in the National Security Council.
A 1-star admiral after 32 years of service.
People that come forward with this, I feel like they've taken their life in their own hands.
I was recruited to a highly sensitive government program that investigated unidentified aerial phenomenon.
For over 16 years, on behalf of the U.S. government, I worked as a senior intelligence official on the unidentified aerial phenomenon topic.
We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
So look at that thing. It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them.
The first country that cracks the code on this technology will be the leader for years to come.
China has established its own version of a UAP task force.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
This is similar to the Manhattan Project. This is the atomic weapon on steroids.
This is so secret, very, very few people in our entire government have been allowed access to it.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis. But that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees.
You better be careful about a government that doesn't trust its people, because there's no telling what they'll pull on you.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
You had information being locked away that could change the trajectory for species.
It has so many beneficial impacts, including clean energy.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
What else you want to know?
So that was said to come out pretty soon, and you can see what's really amazing is when you know the background of everyone that has been in that thing and talking about it is really phenomenal. These aren't retired guys that are just days from dying anymore. This isn't Greer's disclosure project. This is something much bigger that's ramping up much faster than I expected. And you can see that they're pushing a narrative. They're talking about reverse engineering system. I mean, this is, they haven't, I think that this is the biggest deception in the narrative. When they come out and they actually show physical, bolt and metal objects that have not been acquired or done by humans, I don't believe that that's angelic. I believe it's a deception. I do. But I don't believe that we're going to be seeing angelic vehicles. I think we're going to be seeing a deception, and that's what's coming down the line. So everyone needs to prepare for that. Everyone needs to prepare for something big that's going to deceive so many that even the elect, if possible, would be deceived by this. Let's move on. because that hasn't come out yet. I wasn't sure if I was even going to show that, but Jake Barber is one of the people that was in that video, and I think he was anyway. He explains the process in a latest YouTube series that when he was in the government and how everything connects together, talking to the psionic department. Psionics, like mind control and stuff inside the government. This is our government. Our government's doing spiritual stuff like this. Yeah, this is crazy. And then we're going to look and see what these psionic guys, we're going to hear from them and see exactly what it is they do and how it does it. And how does it tie back to an understanding of spiritualism in the Bible? So here we go. Next.
An aircraft crashed.
Yeah.
My team was deployed.
Yeah.
We secured the perimeter.
Yeah.
We secured that target.
Yeah.
We transported that target. We escorted that target and provided security for that target. That target was transported to a facility of a very well-known government-private partner. The decision was made to bring in a team that represented a different private partner who was working on consciousness and the mechanism by which humans could interface with technology. The two were merged, and we were involved with that process.
You were involved in that process?
Yes.
What? So what's happening here? Well, he recently has come out and said that he's involved with the psionics and picking up some strange debris that specifically one was an egg. We did a whole episode on the egg and how it's absolutely demonic and everything that's happening behind the egg. It's been in religious culture and religious occult culture for a long time, dating way back to past Egypt. I mean, all this stuff. You see the egg first, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the lady, as they call him, or this apparition that the Vatican calls Mary. And so this has all been done all once before, and it's all going to be done again. Solomon says that there's nothing new under the sun. We've seen this before. And it makes you wonder, how much has been seen before? Was it the antediluvians that all of a sudden created atomic weaponry too? I mean, how much has come full circle? I think it's going to be really interesting to see the final movements and also see what's going on before that when we get to heaven in the great book of life, of knowledge. All right, so let's go into the next section here. What is this psionics thing? I really want to dig into that. This is a clip of Jordan Jazak. He is one of the team members that summons these things. Yeah, summons them. That's what they call it. Watch this.
Not only do we have people from the actual crash recovery team, we have another team. They're called the psionics team. There seems to be a subset of people that have the unique ability to actually summon these craft, to be able to focus their thoughts and make objects appear in the sky.
Jordan, I really appreciate you joining us here today.
Alex, it's an honor to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
So maybe let's start by sharing a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So most recently, I worked in the space technology space, a little bit of data science, ultimately taking different imagery types and trying to solve solutions for the utility industry.
I'm curious, by chance, do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
I am certain of that.
You're certain? How certain are you?
100%.
I mean, Jordan, that's a pretty bold statement. Where does that certainty come from?
That certainty comes from my firsthand experience in what I term a psionic exploitation program between the years of 2005 and 2010, where I interfaced and worked with non-human intelligence and things like UAP directly.
I mean, Jordan, that is an incredible claim. For the viewer at home, what were you doing in this program on a daily basis?
Yeah, so this would look like things that many people would consider woo-woo-y, right? Like astral projection or meditation. But ultimately, what we were really investigating was how far could we stretch the bounds of human consciousness.
Let's stop it right there just a second. So, woo-wooey. So, meditation is what he called woo-wooey. Meditation and what did he say again? Let's just reverse that and listen to what he said, because that was a very interesting
claim. For the viewer at home, what were you doing in this program on a daily basis?
Yeah, so this would look at like things that many people would consider woo-wooey, right? Like astral projection.
So what is astral projection? Yeah, so remote viewing. In other words, thinking that you can take your soul out of your body and go somewhere else. This is nothing in the Bible about this. You can't take your soul out of your body and go somewhere else. That's not biblical. Paul has been. Was it Paul in the Bible, or was it someone else? I forget. Someone in the chat will tell me. But there was somebody in Acts, as they were going somewhere, seemed to have teleported to one location to another. He got home faster, or got to his location faster than he expected. There's not astral projection, though. There's no astral projection in the Bible. There's no teleporting. So there is teleporting.
Or meditation.
And meditation. The Bible talks about meditation, right? But it doesn't talk about emptying yourself to allow in spirits. That is not considered good, but that's what meditation is defined as today. So what this guy's doing is allowing spirits into his body so that they can show him stuff, or I don't know, maybe they have some kind of transmitter. They can transmit what they are from afar away and show him. Familiar spirits, as the Bible calls them, don't have anything to do with these things. All right, let's continue.
But ultimately, what we were really investigating was how far could we stretch the bounds of human consciousness. Beyond that, how could we get human consciousness to interface directly with things like recovered materials and recovered crafts? What I can tell you from the craft and some of the different projects that we worked on directly is ultimately that they interfaced with us. What I mean by that is my consciousness could project into these craft and recovered materials and then access a suite of commands, essentially capabilities to do various things, including piloting. But ultimately, the story is not about piloting some UAP with your mind. The story is much more about what is consciousness?
Yeah.
Why can we interface with these things?
Do you have material that supports these claims?
I have tons of material, linearly autobiographical records that will support my claims.
So this is the first guy that's ever come out and said that, yeah, I worked for the government, and by the way, I have been interfacing with these things. I know about this stuff. I'm curious if he's going to go in front of Congress and testify about this stuff under oath, penalty of perjury, if he will be taken out there to talk about this stuff as this narrative is progressed into society. And I couldn't find the video clip, but it was a short I saw where someone is out there and they're saying, look, all this stuff is real. All we need to do is reach out to them now. You know how fast the narrative went once Eve talked to the snake? You know how fast the lie progressed? You know how fast their agenda progressed? That's why the last days will be fast. The final days will be rapid ones. And why is that? Because they're going to be open. They're going to be physical. They're going to be talking to us. And you know, we've seen that throughout Scripture. We've seen that throughout Spirit of Prophecy. We know that's going to be the case, but I don't think people are woken up to the idea of these things being physical out there, just walking around. So, folks, let's dig into this the word real quick. 2 Thessalonians 2, 9 through 11. This is my go-to verse. Very interesting stuff. It says, the coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth. Who is the love of the truth? Who is the truth? Jesus says he's the way, the truth, and life. That they might be saved. And for this reason, God will send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, the lie, that they all might be convinced who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Boy, that's hard. That's hard. I think we can all, if we have that relationship with Christ, we can all find displeasure in unrighteousness. But what's interesting to me, and I've said this over and over again, is that this whole thing has happened from the very beginning. And it's happened before. Look at this quote. This is interesting. When they have been led to believe that the dead actually return to communicate with them, this is from Spirit of Prophecy. It's from Great Controversy, page 552. Satan causes those who appear, who went into the grave unprepared. People stop right there and go, oh man, you don't read on though. This is the most interesting part. They claim to be happy in heaven and even occupy exalted places there. Thus, the error is widely taught that there's no difference is made between the righteous and the wicked. The pretended visitants from the world of the spirits sometimes utter cautions and warnings, which prove to be correct. Thus, as confidence is gained, they present doctrines that directly undermine the faith of the scriptures. Wow. This is exactly what's happening right now, is we have that Morneau talks about, right? Let's scroll up a little bit. Look what happened previously. In the days of the Hebrews, there was a class of people who claimed, as the spiritualists today, to hold communion with the dead. But the familiar spirits, as these visitants from other worlds were called, are declared by the Bible to be spirits of devils. Now, interesting, isn't that? These familiar spirits had an AKA. They were also known as visitants from other worlds back then. Interesting, huh? So this has all happened once before. It's just ramping up right now. So it's the more top of the mind awareness people have about this stuff, it's spreading. I mean, you go into you get your haircut now and ask about UFOs in media, and people are like, oh yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? There's no more of this the weirdness around this stuff. It's all open. It's all mainstream now. Very interesting what's happening, and that's coming in a dilemma. And by the way, Tom DeLonge, who I talked about in the 30-minute short documentary I made about this topic at the very beginning of this channel, Tom DeLonge hasn't gone away. He's just been on a different mission. He said he got caught up in the government, and something happened. And he goes into more detail about this, on what happened and why there is a Cold War that's happening between nations about this topic right now. It's really fascinating to think about. Watch this.
I just saw somebody filming something like at the Philadelphia airport, like at 5 in the morning. There was something like by the runway and stuff, and just...
Dude, it's everywhere. They're everywhere. I know. I've had meetings with other intelligence groups from different countries, with the Vatican, with the UN, and like... dude, like I got in deep, you know.
Yeah, I remember that.
I got in with the key holders, and like I was for a period of time, I was able to ask any question I wanted to, and
but then when you ask too much, maybe
you have to be careful what you ask, you know, and you have to understand where your limits are. You know, there's some with what I was doing that went all the way up to the White House that I didn't know about.
Did I remember this? Yeah, hearing about it.
I didn't know about it till literally just like a couple months ago.
Really?
Yeah, dude, it would be.
So you're on the radar for sure.
Big time, and I didn't know it, and now I know why I got so much
But
help.
as somebody's looking into this, I've been trying to.
At first,
I think
at first groups knew that some of them thought this was their best chance at getting the stuff out, was me creating waves. The second group didn't know about that and thought I was Ed Snowden being leaked classified information. The third iteration came when everyone realized that's not what I was doing. Let's all figure this out together.
Yeah.
You know, and then now you have what's going on.
One thing about the thing I understand is like if it is true and there is alien life form, which I do believe in now, it's like I don't know why are they trying to cover things up so it doesn't scare the humans, it doesn't scare people. Like,
I think
if it's not a threat, why can't we know about it? It's just
I think it is a threat, and I think it's like we're trying not to initiate a conflict with something we poorly understand.
Yeah.
Nor initiate a conflict with adversaries that we don't fully trust.
Okay.
So you have countries like China and Russia that have crash retrieval programs that are back engineering weapon systems, and we don't want to bring it all out so everyone starts to know what we have.
Okay.
Because this is like the reason why we hide our weapons development, because we don't want Russia to know what our limits are technologically to defend ourselves. So we hide that, we classify that stuff. Well, what happens when 3 countries are building shit that's so exotic, so advanced, world-busting weapon systems based off this shit that recovered? You don't talk about it.
Yeah,
because you don't
sure.
fully trust each other. But
Yeah.
what's worse than that, you don't fully understand where you got it from and what they would do if you bring it all out.
Interesting perspective, huh? I'm not sure if that's part of the narrative or if that's true, but it's interesting. We were in some Cold Wars, we were in some major wars, world wars, and then we stopped. I mean, dead silent. There might be some reason for that outside of this, but it could also mean that we've all been studying. I mean, it has come out that everyone, major countries have had a UFO study program, a UAP study program, where they're looking at these things going, hey, can we get something from this? So what if they're all out there saying we can dominate the world if we had that? And so they're just all waiting for that day when they understand it better so they can dominate the world. Is that what's happened? Is that why we haven't been so worried? Or maybe we've just, I mean, because I used to think we've progressed as a world. We've become better. Now we don't war as much as we used to. Oh, there's a lot of war happening over there in the sandbox, as my friends used to say. My war friends, my war friends, my military friends that I knew a long time ago. It's really interesting what's happening, and I think that we just see less of it over here in the West. But there's a lot of war happening. And I think it's going to be even bigger someday, especially if there's something that comes out, some spiritualism that we tap into or that we reach out and try to contact. And suddenly it's allowed to contact us back and tell us amazing things on how to improve our war efforts. Satan loves death and destruction, doesn't he? So I wouldn't be surprised if that one day happens. And of course, we have Luciferians that are up and telling us that this whole thing will bring on the end of the world if this happens. Check this out.
The way I use this from the opening chapter onward is in terms of the contemporary debate over whether the UFO phenomenon is demonic. Right? So you have these Collins elite people who think that, either angels or more probably demons are what's behind the whole...
Collins elite?
The Collins elite. Yeah, the Collins elite. I think we got into this briefly the last time I was here.
Okay.
But some people think that the Collins elite was an unofficial interagency organization with representation from the CIA, the Air Force, and various other military intelligence organizations that was formed, they think, some people argue, like Nick Redfern, I think, in his book on, what was that book called?
Is Tucker Carlson a part of the Collins elite?
You say that, probably more than half jokingly. No, I don't think Tucker's part of the Collins elite, but I think that they've gotten to his head. I think that these are the people who put this in Tucker Carlson's head, and he's been talking to too many of these folks.
Yeah.
How does one disclose the devil? That is, without ending the world.
What?
Yeah.
And it comes back to this idea that the Collins elite see themselves as holding back the apocalypse because they think that if these phenomena are predominantly demonic, disclosing that would mean disclosing the Antichrist, which would then precipitate the second coming or accelerate the second coming. So they think they're somehow doing the world a favor by maintaining the secrecy regarding the phenomenon because it's essentially buying us time and holding back the end of the world.
Well, I think that would be good to hold back the end of the world, but I don't think that the Collins elite, and I have some authority in this. I wouldn't say I'm an unofficial member of the Collins elite, but I do believe, I think what they believe in that this whole thing is demonic. So is he saying, oh, look, that these guys, they believe that this whole thing is from Satan, and so we need to hide it. Well, I don't believe we need to lie about it. But I definitely don't think that we need to tell people to worship it or let's reach out to it and talk to it, because that's essentially what these guys that they want to do. Hey, let's reach out to it, talk to it, find out what we can learn from the hidden knowledge. That's exactly what Eve wanted. That's exactly what Luciferians want. That's exactly what we should not do, because what is that? That's idolatry. That's idolatry. Whenever you go to anything in place of God for wisdom, you have put that in place of God. I don't care what it is, but let's say it's spiritualism. Hey, Shouldn't you go to your God? Shouldn't you go to God the Father in heaven and talk about that stuff? I think that's important. Go to God, talk about what you need, and He will help you. Don't go to some random fiery round object in the sky that you think is a extraterrestrial and reach out to them and talk to them. Yeah, that could bring the end of the world. Absolutely. So yeah, I do believe that talking to these things will bring the end of the world, and we don't need to publish this. We don't need to talk about this stuff because there will be some people that are going to do that. This clip isn't over. Some people think I get too animated on here and that I'm yelling and I'm mean. Hey, I'm just passionate about this topic, all right? And I might get more passionate about this as time goes on. By the way, before we continue this clip, I just want to say that there is a lot going on right now. There's a lot happening, and this might be the time for you to move in the summertime. You might think, hey, it's time for me to get out, to go somewhere else, to move into a different location, house, state. I just want to let you know that I want to help you find that real estate agent that is good at their job. I'm a real estate agent as well, and I'm able to do that. And by you reaching out to me first, it'll help me push this channel forward, and it also helps you have the best deal you can when you're buying or selling your house. So how do you do that? Well, you reach out to me. My name is Bradley, and my number, 423-749-0000. You can reach out to me anytime on regular weekdays, and we can talk about the ways you can do this. I'm trying to find a video that I made just for this topic, but I can't find it at all. But long story short, reach out, and we'll talk more about this stuff because it really does help me in pushing this message forward when we communicate. And it doesn't cost you anything. My service is free to you. Your real estate agent that I help you find will pay me because it's a referral. So if that's something you are interested in, reach out to me tomorrow, 423-749-0000, and let's continue this next clip.
So I play with that idea at the opening of my first chapter in Satanian.
So these people are religious types. They
Fanatically.
Religious fanatics.
Yeah, from the Air Force,
You would
from
have
the
to be to
CIA.
maintain this worldview or this view of the phenomena.
Yeah, and I think that probably in going back to maybe 47 or the 1950s, they've been recruited from among evangelicals or traditionalist Catholics. But if you go back probably to the late 1890s with the airship mystery, I don't know whether they started out that way or whether they were spooked into having these kinds of beliefs, right? But look, think about it this way, Danny. If airships that look like constructions from out of Jules Verne's sci-fi novels are showing up not just in the sky over tens of states, but they're landing in people's fields, and sheriffs and judges are coming up to these things and touching them and interacting with the airship pilots. If it turns out that those things aren't real, meaning they're not constructed objects, there's some kind of a projection, whether it's a psychokinetic projection, like a material, what they call materialization in psychical research, or whether it's some kind of a solid hologram. In any case, as a gentleman in the 1890s, or frankly, even this would be how most people today would read it in America, you would probably consider that a diabolical deception, a machination of the devil, right? To engage in the manipulation of perception on that kind of scale, people tend to associate that with, I don't know, satanic deception.
Oh my God. Seems silly.
Yeah, well, the prisms through which many people and institutions look at this phenomena are silly or simple-minded.
Right.
And dangerously so.
Oh, the amount of arrogance. and so let's break that down. Is it silly to assume that there is a great controversy between God and Satan right now? I think what it really comes down to is, do you believe that there are things that have a moral authority over us that are greater than us out there? Or do you believe that these things are just floating around and they're not doing anything because they have some superiority complex, or they want you to worship them. I mean, it's going to come down to, what do you believe? Do you believe these things, or do you believe God's word? That's the long and short of it. Do you want to do it God's way? Do you want to live by the law of love? Or do you want to live by the law of absolute chaos, which is do what thy wilt? That's the long and the short of it. What does the end of the Old Testament say? The end of the Old Testament says, well, let's go to the end of the New Testament. Here's the patience of the saints. Here they keep the commandments of God and have the faith in Jesus Christ. Same thing in the Old Testament. I just can't remember it right now. Malachi? What is it? It's someone's going to catch it in the chat, but putting on the spot here. My brain knows it, but I can't remember what it is. But the whole duty of man, there it is. The whole duty of man is to keep the commandments, God's law of love. And so it's going to come down to these two things. Do you believe in the law of love? You know, things like don't murder, things like don't steal, love your enemies. I mean, that's essentially what we're doing here. Love your neighbor, love your God. That's the two groups that exist here. Or do you believe in chaos, absolute out of order things, which is the basis of evolution? I mean, it's clearly divided in history here. It's clearly divided on how this whole thing is divisible, and you can see what side is Satan's and what side is God. I wonder when the time will come where we'll be bound up into those groups. There's lots happening, folks, and I encourage you to continue reading your Bible, understanding everything that's happening here, because there's lots happening. And by the way, this is a great study. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this a little later. This is the Ultimate Prophecy Study Bible, New King James Version. I know some of you are hardcore King Jamesers, but New King James for a new person is really more easy to read. And what I like about this one is that it has God the Father in blue text in here. This is really neat. So like in Genesis, you can see, I don't know if you can see that real well, but it has his, when he talks, he's in blue. And then in red, in the New Testament, it has Jesus' words in red letter. Also, it also outlines how you can read the entire Bible in a year. This is important because if you do this, I mean, you will know God's Word. I've been doing this, and by the way, I like doing audio Bibles personally. But you can go through in the entire thing in a year. And then also it has all your Bible texts, the main key Bible texts highlighted right here. Understanding the truths that are preached today, right here at the very front, and at the very back, you got Bible studies. Who does this? Who made this Bible? This is amazing, amazing Bible. It really does really well. Very, very, very well. If you know anything about me, I worked at Amazing Facts for 10 years. Amazing Facts produces this. I'm going to have a link in the bottom. It's an affiliate link. It's a really great Bible. I have one myself, and it's something that's helped me quite a bit. I'll be talking more about it because there's other things about it that is helping this program quite a bit. Folks, that's all I have for tonight. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know in the comments. If there's anything about tonight that you wish we could change, remember we're probably going to be renaming the channel here a little bit so we can talk more about other things other than Last Day Spiritualism, because I'm going to show you a little bit more about my property, a little bit more about what we're doing out here, a little bit more about building a well. There's going to be a time coming where we as Christians have to step away from the world a little bit and have our own abilities. When is that? Is that in a couple years, or is that in a couple decades? We're going to talk more about that as this channel progresses. And if you want to help out this channel, please become a member of our Patreon, patreon.com/strangenormal. And my name is Bradley. And this has been Pure Strangeness, absolute normalcy, strange normal. We'll see you next time.
You're watching Strange Normal, where the truth is the truth.